Hello crafty friend, welcome. In today's video I'm going to show you how to put together this basket of poppies pop-up card. It is the design in Cricut Design Space and it's not as tricky as it looks. Firstly, cut all the pieces as per the mats in the instructions. Now you can cut the poppies out of cardstock as I have, but I've also done them out of vinyl before, which makes them easy to stick on. It's completely up to you. We're going to put the poppies together first. There are 6 pieces here and only 5 of them have poppies on them. This one doesn't have any space for the poppies to go on, so we're just going to pop that to one side. That's going to be a centerpiece when we put it together. And then the other pieces all have these little circles on them, and that's where your poppies are going to attach to. Now there are bigger ones in the middle, and there's 3 bigger poppies. So each of those go on the corresponding larger circles on those 3 pieces. Then there are 6 smaller poppies and they go on the other circles on the tops of those stems. Now there are 4 here that are kind of on their side and they go on the half circles here. You can see those on a few of the different pieces there. Add a little bit of glue. You don't need very much. I've got Recollections mixed media adhesive here. Most glues will work. You want something that dries clear, dries quickly, doesn't pour out too fast. And I put mine in a tiny little bottle so I have more control over how much comes out. Especially when I'm doing little projects like this. Pop-up cards, you want to make sure there's definitely not too much glue because you can accidentally stick your pop-up together and then it's not going to work at all. So I place the 3 large poppies first. And now I'm putting the glue on for the other poppies, the 6 with the centers. Now they do have black in the center with kind of little lines. I don't know if you can see it, kind of little lines going up. You want them in the upward direction when you're placing them. So on this one you can see the lines go up. So if you had them stuck on the wrong way, then the lines would be going down. And that's just not what a poppy looks like. So just a tiny bit of glue on there, not very much at all, because really if you look at the poppies there are slits cut out all the way along and you don't want the glue to come through. So a tiny bit of glue. And we can always add more if it doesn't stick, but too much glue is just going to make a mess. So we're going to create the base now. These 2 green bits have got a score line down the center and down the sides and then tabs at the bottom. So fold it in the center and both of these fold exactly the same. This is going to create the base that the poppies are going to sit in the center of the card. So fold along all the score lines. Hopefully you remember to put the scoring tool in when cutting. I've done that a few times and I have to guess where the score lines are. And fold them the same, and then they're going to slot one inside the other. This will create a square, and that's the base piece for all the poppies to sit inside, which will then sit inside the basket. When building the basket of poppies, we're going to start with the green section here, which has no poppies on it, and the section that has the big poppy in the middle and the 2 side poppies. So slot this one down the center. This is creating the base and a good structure for all the others to go in on top, and it goes straight across there. There's slots on the bottom of the card and then on the top of the base that we just created. If you hang it upside down, it will fall apart. That's what I do. I'm here to show you what not to do, apparently, as well as what to actually do. And take the poppy piece that we selected earlier and stick it directly across the center. The next two pieces to go in are the pieces with a single poppy and a side poppy, and they're the same piece, they're just opposite each other, and slide them in front and behind the green piece that you put, so sideways to the line of poppies that's already in there. Take the final two pieces and then slide them in the opposite direction to the ones you just put in. Try to have all the poppies facing the same way, because even though it's a pop-up card and this is in the center, you will still have kind of a front side and a back side. The back does look tidy because it has the poppy stems on the back, but you want all the poppies kind of facing the same way. At least that's my preference. You could have some facing the other way if you wanted to, I guess. For the basket, there are score lines all the way along, so fold those all the same direction. And then there are two score lines on the tabs at the bottom. The tabs will fold out and the other score lines will fold in. You're creating the basket, so you're going to do it one way. The handle we attach after everything else is put together. Firstly, just score all this. Now when you are cutting this, there's tiny little cutouts on that basket, and you might have to poke some of the pieces out. If you get a nice clean cut, then the pieces will stick on your mat, but if you don't, you might have to just check that all the pieces have come out to create that basket weave look. Glue this tab on to the rest of the basket to create that circle. Once that's dry, you can put the poppies inside, kind of squeeze them together, and then there are tabs at the bottom of the poppies and they have to line up with the tabs at the bottom of the basket. I had to kind of finagle it a bit here and twist it round because I put it in at the wrong angle. But make sure the tabs line up, and this makes sense when you put the whole card together because you glue those tabs together and it kind of moves as one when you open and close the card. This is what it looks like at the bottom of the card. All your tabs aligned and everything completely crisscrossed there. The two triangle pieces are where the tabs go through, and then they would attach to the card to make the pop-up nice and stable. Poke both the brown tabs and the green tabs through, and then we're going to glue those down on that side and the same on the other side. Normally when I have a bit of gluing to do, I will speed things up a little bit because, you know, most of you know how to glue things together. However, I thought if you're actually making this along with me, I would leave it in real time so that you had the time to make it without having to pause the video and then get started again in a minute. You can just make it alongside me. If you are enjoying today's video, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. I kind of do All kinds of crafty things. I really like the pop-up cards. I like to show how Cricut pop-up cards go together. I like SVG cuts, or if you happen to buy any from other places, let me know what you'd like to see. I really enjoy putting these cards together, and whenever you give someone one of these cards, they really does make their day, their month, and even their year. And if you got that reference, then we can definitely be friends. When adding the basket handle, I've decided from now on I'm going to add it once the whole card is put together, because every time I put it in here I put it a little bit too high. Now if you do put it in too high, it's going to stick out the side of the card when you close it. So the best bit to do is just stick everything together and then put the handle in last. However, I didn't do too bad, and my envelope is a little bit bigger than my card, so it worked out just fine. I glue on the ends and stick it just behind the centerpiece, so the piece with the 3 poppies on that you put in first. I glue the handle to the back of those. For the outside part of the card, there's a score line down the center, so you just fold it in half. You can score with a bone folder. I have a Cricut scraper tool here I use for mine. Make sure it's clean. Sometimes I don't notice it's got something sticky on it, and then that can ruin a card in seconds. And then these pieces go in the inside here. You could add something between the white and the red on the front if you wanted to highlight the poppies. I've done it before where I've used glitter cardstock, just to add a bit of sparkle to the front. I might add some gems to this at a later date, just in the center maybe. Jazz up the front a little bit. I use my tape gun for this because it is very quick and convenient. However, you have to be aware that you cannot move things around if you use a tape gun. You have to know exactly where it's going, which is why I flip it over, see roughly where I need to stick it down before I actually do stick it to the base. If you use glue, you have a little bit of leeway to adjust it if it's not quite where you want it. I tend to wing it most of the time, and I'm eyeballing this, so I just put some tape on there, check where I'm going to put it down, and then flip it over. When adding the centerpiece, make sure your poppies are facing the front when you want to open the card. You know which direction that is. And then the triangles are going to line up flush with the inside fold of the card, really. I'm using glue because I want to be able to move it a tiny bit if it's not quite right. You can't really get tape gun around the edge anyway because of all the cutouts on the detail there. This is important that this lays flat, so it's always good to check at this point that everything's laying completely flat. You don't need to adjust any of your poppies or anything. So lay it flat, glue one side into position, and then I'm going to add glue to the other side and fold the card closed, and that way I know it folds flat, and hopefully by all miracles it should open out perfectly when I open the card as well. If you look closely, you'll see that the basket handle is a little bit outside of the boundaries of the card there, so I kind of adjust it, but I can't really fix it at this point, so just be aware when you are gluing it down, go a little bit shorter with the handle and you'll be nice and safe. Cricut has a good selection of these pop-up cards. I had one last year I made, was really popular, was the snowflake one, and I have got a video on that if you want to check that one out. There's also a Christmas tree one. There's all kinds of fun pop-up cards for you to make from Cricut, and they pretty much go together in a similar way. Again, I have the tutorials for how to put them together, so if you are interested, check those out. There's also a playlist of pop-up cards, interactive cards, some of my designs, and the majority are Cricut designs, and there's even some SVG cut ones in there. If you have any questions, then please add them in the comments below and I will get back to you. This is the results of today's card. It's absolutely perfect and it will fit into a 5x7 envelope, which I sneakily used a pre-made one here. However, the design does come with its own as well. Thank you for watching today. Share the video if you know a crafty person that would like to see this card as well, and I will see you on the next one.